bit you again?
Yeah, just a little 24-hour thing.
Okay.
Yeah.
Todd, I want to ask you about Pugliarvi. He's been getting some consistent time on your wing. He's producing. Why do you think it's working, and what have you noticed in his game?
Oh, he's a good player. He's getting confidence. He's a guy that needs confidence. I mean, everyone does, but it seems like him in particular. Once he gets one, he feels good about his game, and he's been finding a way to find the net.
Discuss just generally the offense lately. Obviously, a team expected to score, and now maybe coming through in that way. How it feels for you guys during that?
Yeah, it's good. And we're finding a way to produce 5-on-5, which is important. I mean, our power play hasn't been very good, and everyone knows that. So, once we can figure out a way to get that producing, I think it'll only really help.
In terms of the 5-on-5 play, it seems like you guys, like you mentioned, have more offense and more zone time. What specifically have you been doing to keep more pucks alive?
I think just supporting pucks all over the ice, trying to bring guys to the puck. I think, some of those games where we weren't producing, I think if you look at it, we didn't really have any sustained zone time just because we were keeping guys away, leaving them on an island, not helping them and not supporting them. So I think once you bring numbers to the puck, I think it really helps everyone keep the play alive ultimately. Yeah, he's a great coach. A guy that came in during a really rough time in Erie and kind of changed the whole culture. Just a calm guy, never really gets too angry, never gets too high or too low. He's just kind of even keel, and I think for me that's someone that I really learned from. Yeah, you definitely think that you win 150 games in 3 years and a championship and to the finals once and Western Conference final once. You assume that someone's going to recognize it, and we're definitely glad that he's got his opportunity and he's in the NHL. And I obviously don't know too much of how he's doing, but I'm sure he's doing a good job.
A thought on the Flyers and what you guys did through tonight?
Yeah, I mean, obviously they're coming off of that streak, and I'm sure they'll be feeling pretty good about themselves. Anytime you can get off a streak like that and find a way to get a win, your confidence is high, and they're a really good team. We had a tough time with them in Philly, and we expect a good one tonight.
How would you say you guys are, when you look at the standings, how you feel and how you're approaching this task, and if you still feel like the playoffs are very much in your sights and a possibility?
100%. I think we're 5 or 6 points out. Is that what it is? We haven't. Try not to pay attention to it. Just try and win games. That's all that you can do. Obviously, this isn't an ideal position that you want to put yourself in before Christmas, but it's not the end of the world.
Thanks, Scott.
Much like any other player who might have a rough period.
I mean, obviously, just stay positive for sure. That's the biggest thing. But I mean, since he stepped in, he's been solid for us, anyways. And late in that game when they made it 6-5, he made a timely save for us too. So I mean, he's against Toronto. He made some big saves to really keep us in it. So we can definitely help him out a little bit more too, and not give so many great chances, but just positivity goes a long way.
Was that a case of you guys just kind of taking the foot off the gas in that last 20?
Yeah, I mean, we got away a little bit from our game, the way that we played the first 40 minutes, and it kind of almost came back to bite us. So we need to find that consistency from in our game, and it's been a lot better as of late, but the full 60 is what we're striving for.
Do you find, Ryan, now, I don't know if you look at the standings right from the start, or is it a little easier maybe, even if you're not looking at the standings, knowing that you guys are kind of slowly but surely moving up in that area?
Yeah, I mean, we know that we kind of dug ourselves a little bit of a hole early in the season, and so I mean, it's up to us to get out of it now, and we're starting to pick it up now, and we're trending in the right direction. So we know that we know what we're capable in here, and we just got to keep that going. And the standings will take care of themselves if we keep playing our best game.
A bit ironic that you guys are sort of turning things around when you're facing the most adversity. You've got 2 defensemen out, you've got a starting goalie out, yet here you are, 3 wins in 4, 4 and 6.
Yeah. I mean, sometimes when you face adversity, you can really prevail through it. So I mean, it's a good sign for us that we're not just giving up just because of that, and we're coming back in games too, which is a great sign for our team. I think last year we came back a lot in games, and at the start of the season this year weren't doing that as much. Weren't getting awesome bounces either, but I mean, our resilience wasn't where it needed to be, and now it's starting to get back to where it should be and where it's capable of being.
Getting your feet moving, getting for him, I think he's 225 when he's going at top speed. That's a big body and a lot of force to stop. And I think at the start, I think he was looking at maybe Line and Matthews a little too much, and where they were on the power play, and especially Line, scoring those perimeter goals using his shot. So I think he was focused on that a little too much, and I think he's starting to learn more times than not he's going to get rewarded more playing on the inside than the outside.
Just about where you guys are out of the standings, Milan, and you're 6 points out. Do you guys still feel, disappointed with where you're at, but like it's still a legit possibility and very much in the mix still?
Yeah, obviously, we're not where we want to be. A third of the way throughout the season in the standings, but I think we look at this month and what December means for our team, and the ability that we have to climb back into the standings, and it's up to us to turn these things around. And I think if you look at the last 6 games, we've played really well, especially 5-on-5. I think we're close to +10 or +11 5-on-5 the last 6 games, and we have things rolling right now. I think we feel pretty good about our game, except that Buffalo game. So if we keep playing the way that we have, especially the second and third period against Toronto, we're going to win games more times than not.
Grinding through some adversity.
feels that he's doing a better job using his size and his body to create offense than maybe he had at earlier points in time. Do you agree, and what's your sense he does that?
I would agree, and I think a lot of that just comes from being confident and feeling better about himself around our group and in the league, and that's just called growing up. And his size, his strength, his ability to protect pucks, we saw that in Calgary in and around the blue paint. I think when he entered the league, he entered as a shooter, and that's still there. He's got an incredible shot when he gets it off, but the other avenues to offense are starting to enter his game, where he can be physical, use his size, and get to the blue paint.
Ryan Nugent-Hopkins said that you guys kind of sat down at the end of last season and talked about his game and getting more aggressive offensively, if that's the right word. He's got on pace for career numbers. How much have you seen that, him putting that to use and consciously thinking offense without forgetting?
Well, I think the numbers reflect that. I think that he has made a conscious effort to get a little more active and a little more involved in the offense earlier, rather than reading it. There is a little more risk in his game, and interestingly enough, with him playing with more risk, there's even more responsibility, so it's a nice balance.
Ken, maybe just a thought on the Philadelphia Flyers coming off of a win, and though they're not that high in the standings, the challenges they present?
Well, there's a lot been made about 10 in a row without a loss. I watched a number of those games in the pre-scout, and many nights they were the better team. They're the top team in the league as far as giving up 5-on-5 goals against, so that tells you something about how well they play and how committed they are to checking. They've gained a little momentum in Calgary, and our task tonight's not easy by any means. We're a team that has a battle on our hands every night. We can't take our foot off the gas. We can't relax. We can't give ourselves a credit or a pat on the back. We've got to get ready to play.
Your PK was better last game, but when you've seen it struggle, is it the system that's being implemented or the players not implementing the system, or a little of both?
Well, I'm sure it's a little bit of both. Systematically it's worked well in the past, but we have made some player changes, so we've tried to look at the systematic part of it as well, and to make sure that we have the right players that can execute in those given situations, and we believe we do. A lot of times the players are in the right spots, but we're not quite getting the job done. A lot of the seam pass goals that are occurring, and there's been a number of them. We're there, but we don't get a stick on it. We don't pick it up quick enough, and the puck gets through, and then it becomes dangerous.
A couple of things. How far away is Sekera? Do you know? I mean, he's practicing and he's doing some battle drills, but when will you actually know?
Well, I had a good talk with him yesterday about how he feels, and the majority of the conversation was positive, and it wasn't all 100% yet. And that tells me he's not quite there, but he's wanting to take more on. He wants to get more involved physically in battles and retrievals for rebounds, that type of stuff. And as his confidence grows in those areas, he'll get closer. I think we're still on the same timeline, Christmas, New Year, somewhere in that range. That's where we're at.
And Larson, will he at least go on the road trip?
We'll see how he is this morning. Earlier in the week, he was going to make the road trip. Treatments, doctor's evaluation, they'll give us the answer to that over the next day or two.
Todd, going back to the penalty kill, I was looking at your numbers recently, and you've actually been really good at limiting the shots against on the penalty kill. Your goals are at a ridiculous rate. So is that, you're not giving up a lot of shots, but they're getting a lot of goals. So is that just the big mistakes that are killing you? Because you've kind of switched to a high pressure that seems to be working to limit the shots. So is it just guys that have one breakdown that results in the goal? Is that what you're seeing?
I don't know if you can paint every goal with the same brush. As I had mentioned earlier, we look at the systematic stuff, and we've tried to make adjustments and changes to fit our group. I do think we've improved in that area, yet the confidence in it wavers, as you said. One shot a penalty kill and it ends up in your net, and that's not indicative of pure goaltending. That's positional. Sometimes that's not getting the clear when we need it. Think of some of the goals we've given up where it's on our tape and and we found on the clearing attempt and it's in the back of your net. So the penalty kill as a whole has to still be polished up, and it's got to get to the point where you're extremely confident in it. And I thought in Calgary the other night we needed it early and we needed it late, and it was involved in the game and did a very good job in those situations.
Todd, you've got the fewest power plays in the league. Is that because your team doesn't have the puck as much as it did last year, or you're not forcing the issue where the referee's got all the penalties?
Interestingly, my analytic friends would tell me that we have the puck a lot, that we shoot it a lot, we get it back a lot. You know, so are we intense enough in puck protection situations? Are we going to the net enough? You know, are we getting the calls when we should be getting the calls? Those are all things that we ponder and try and come up with solutions. I'm sorry? Right now it is, yeah.
Just one quick question. Do you approach Laurent Brossoit this week? Have you approached him to have a talk with him? Do you leave that to Dustin Schwartz, or do you just leave him alone and let him?
I left the majority of that to Dustin. I obviously had a quick chat with LB to let him know that he was starting. A lot of times the starting goaltender finds out early in the morning so that they're both prepared, but I let LB know yesterday, and I wanted to show confidence in him, so big night for him.
And lastly, Todd, your 5-on-5 scoring's really improved in the last 6 games. You're 25-13 at even strength 5-on-5. Your fourth line, of course, has really got going. Your top line's going now. What have you seen as a group collectively where suddenly your team's scoring at a really good rate 5-on-5, where early in the year you weren't?
Well, you know, pucks we got a little more puck luck, and I don't. People are going to say, "What the hell's that? What's puck luck? How do you?" Rebounds are ending up on our tape a little bit more. We're doing a better job in the goaltender's eyes than we have in the past. We sustain more offensive time. Our forecheck's been a little bit better, so there's not one area that's narrowed it down. But I think the puck luck, when you compare, for example, doing the pre-scout for Philadelphia, I went back and looked at some of our chances leading up to that game, and obviously in the Philadelphia game. Identical chances are going in the net for us now that weren't going in leading up to that game, and that was only 3 weeks or a month ago. Okay.